Zero commissions have been a big headline lately in the financial services community. It's also a topic that AdvisorHub CEO and publisher Tony Sirianni has written about at great length. Tony, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And you recently wrote an op-ed about this very topic. Tell us about it.
Well, zero commission I think is something that is sort of misunderstood. I think people are still sort of getting their arms around it. The impetus for it was sort of an impulse on the part of Schwab to do what they had sort of always done, which is sort of make investing more accessible to people. So the less it costs, the better it is. My concern is not so much for clients, because I cover the industry. So my concern is what are the ramifications for that for financial advisors? And
you say the last big meteor struck in 1975. What were the ramifications of that?
Well, let's put it this way. I've been in the business 30 years. I know I don't look it, but 30 years, and commissions have never gone up. They've only gone down. And that started when they were deregulated in 1975. So in fact, when I talk to CEOs of the major companies all the time, and what they say is that, well, 75, everybody thought the world was going to end, okay? And that, the discounted commissions and all that was going to ruin the industry, and it didn't happen. It did, over a long period of time, take commissions from where they were and take them down to where they are today. It just took a long time to get there. But as soon as it was a different era because the discounters gave discount service. And I know they don't want to hear me say that. That's my opinion. That they weren't of the same quality or level as the folks who are in what we call the wirehouses, Morgan Stanley and Merrill Lynch. They were more sophisticated. So what they charged, you could make an argument that it was of value. There was a value there to be charged for more. Today, that's not the case. So 1975 is not at all like 2020, and or is going to be 2019. And today, in the independent space where there is zero commission now, there are as sophisticated, if not more sophisticated, advisors who are applying their trade. And I think what the people who run these big firms are forgetting is that they're not going to keep it a secret. They're going to tell their clients zero commission is now zero. So you have one group of very sophisticated brokers with zero commissions and another group that has commissions. I mean, how do you think that's going to work out?
And to talk numbers for a second here, you say maybe 10 to 70% of cost of running money could be eliminated.
Well, it all depends on the type of business that you do. But if you do even a managed money business where all these sort of fees are wrapped in, those people could realize a 20% additional return if you're on the independent side. Again, I don't think this is what Schwab envisioned. They were concerned for the end user more than they were for the advisor who's doing it. But just imagine the conversations, even just to talk to your client about there's no more commission here. So if you take away the commissions from part of your cost of doing business, well, what happens? You can now reinvest that in your business, and you can hire attorney for your staff. You can hire an insurance person. There's a lot that you can do that just gives you a competitive advantage over someone who's still paying commission. It is a cost that is now gone.
Ultimately good for the client as well as the advisor in terms of compensation as well as new capital to spread out over the business?
Yeah, so what I see is if you got to imagine it like this, there's two graphs. One graph shows commission over time from May Day 75 to today, and it would look like it's cratering, right, over time, because all it's done is gone down. It has never gone up. You could take a graph of revenue for RIAs today, for the future, you can plot it, it would look like a hockey stick because you're taking away one of the costs of doing business. So even if clients never paid a commission, some independent advisors would pass along that cost, their alpha still goes up because they're no longer paying a commission, even if it was outside of the advisor. So all the advantages seem to be on the side of the zero commission folks, and I think that large firms are ignoring this at their peril.
And we've talked a lot about zero com here. What other trends do you see moving forward in the next 5-10 years in the space?
Well, I've been saying for a while that I think the idea of large firms wanting to put their advisors on salary and bonus more like a European model broker than where they are today, which is a commission broker. And initially, people were, that's crazy. But I think the more you look at it, and you see firms exiting the protocol, you see them putting language in their license, in their agreements that advisors have to sign upon peril of being terminated if you don't sign it. And they put language in there about garden leaves, and it's all about the larger firm wanting to own the clients, not the advisor. That is a European model, and there are 100 ways to look at it. You see it in team agreements and things like that, but the margins of American firms are small because of the cost of paying an advisor. It's an enormous part of what they do. So if they could figure out a way around that, I think they would.
Ultimately, good or bad news for advisors if we were to move more?
Depends on where you are. Yeah, I mean, depends on where you are. I think ultimately salary and bonus is sort of a bad thing because it takes away the entrepreneurial spirit of what's going on. I think also the firms leaving the protocol and trying to hold on to their brokers is a bad thing because capitalism should be about capital moving to where it's best serviced. So advisors are voting with their feet and leaving big firms and going to RIA firms. And you shouldn't try to just stop that wholesale. You should look at that trend and say, why are they leaving? What changes do I need to make in my firm to make it a place that people want to stay versus I'm just going to sue people when they leave?
And before we get too far into the future, I do want to talk about a very exciting upcoming event, the AdvisorHub Summit here in New York, a few blocks away at the University Club. What's cooking?
It's going to be fun. We have, and I don't want to start listing things to leave people out, but we must have 15 CEOs and national sales managers. Look forward to hearing from David Cantor and Cheryl Penny and Brian Hamburger, among many others who are listed to speak. And we'll have panels, so it'll be very interactive. We're going to feed you 3 meals, but we're sold out. So we're hopefully this message goes out maybe for next year. We'll make it a little bit bigger and try to include more people. But it should be a ton of fun. It always is. Very interactive conference. Very different than any other one that I've ever been to.
And what are the goals? What do you hope that advisors will walk away from this summit thinking?
Well, I think the title of the summit is an industry in transition, and that's a large part of what we try to do at AdvisorHub all the time. We want to give people prepare them for what might happen in the future. We want to hear from sort of the leaders in the industry and where do they see it going. Just like I said with the ZeroCom, that's my opinion. It doesn't mean I'm right, although I've been pretty right about all my predictions. But it doesn't mean I'm right. I mean, you can look at the same set of facts and have different points of view. So we want to arm advisors with, hey, this is sort of where the leaders in the business think we're headed as an industry. And that's very valuable information.
Well, Tony, thank you so much for your time and your insights. Great to have you here at Asset
Thanks
TV.
for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. I was joined by the AdvisorHub CEO and publisher, Tony Sirianni. And as we just discussed, be sure to stay tuned for the multitude of interviews from the AdvisorHub and Industry in Transition Financial Advisor Summit. From our studios in New York, I'm Jenna Dagenhart.